Have you ever stopped in the middle of a thought and wondered, where did that truly come from? Not just the firing of a neuron, but the feeling of red, the experience of a memory, the ineffable sense of being you. For centuries, we've been told a simple story. The brain, a 3-pound lump of matter, somehow computes consciousness, like a biological machine running incredibly complex software. But what if that's not the whole story? What if that's not even the most important part of the story? What if your brain doesn't create your consciousness, but is instead the most sophisticated broadcast and receiving system in the known universe? An antenna, built of flesh and bone, exquisitely tuned into a universal field of awareness that isn't just in the universe, but is the universe. This isn't just philosophy. This is a journey to the bleeding edge of physics. A place where the inner world of your mind meets the outer world of the cosmos. This is the story of the quantum brain. Let's begin with a question that has haunted philosophers and scientists for millennia. A question so profound it's been dubbed the hard problem of consciousness. How does inert, non-living matter, the atoms and molecules in your brain, give rise to the rich, subjective, inner world you experience every waking moment? How do electrical signals become the feeling of joy, the sting of regret, or the beauty of a sunset? Mainstream science, for all its incredible advances, has no definitive answer. It can map the brain's activity, but it cannot explain the experience. This gaping hole in our understanding is where a new, revolutionary idea takes root. An idea that suggests we've been looking in the wrong place. We've been treating the brain like a classical, Newtonian machine. A collection of tiny billiard balls, bumping into each other in predictable ways. But the universe, at its most fundamental level, doesn't work that way. It operates on the strange, counterintuitive, and magical rules of quantum mechanics. So, what if the brain isn't a classical computer, but a quantum one? What if consciousness isn't something produced inside your skull, but something your brain receives and participates in? Imagine your mind as a hyper-advanced quantum antenna. This antenna isn't pulling in radio or television signals, but tuning into a fundamental field of awareness that permeates all of reality. This view suggests your mind isn't just an isolated island of awareness, but a deeply connected part of a vast, cosmic ocean of consciousness. It reframes you, not as a biological robot, but as an integral and active participant in the universe itself. Your thoughts, your feelings, your very sense of self, might be echoes of the cosmos, received and interpreted by the extraordinary quantum device sitting between your ears. If the brain is a quantum antenna, where is the hardware? Where are the circuits that can perform these extraordinary feats? To find them, we must journey deep inside, past the tangled web of neurons, into the very skeleton of the cells themselves. Here, we find magnificent, intricate protein scaffolds, called. For a long time, these were thought to be little more than cellular scaffolding. The structural girders that give a neuron its shape. For a long time, these were thought to be little more than cellular scaffolding, the structural girders that give a neuron its shape. But a courageous and controversial theory, pioneered by the brilliant Nobel laureate physicist Sir Roger Penrose and anesthesiologist Dr. Stuart Hameroff, proposes something far more radical. This theory, known as orchestrated objective reduction, or Orch-OR, suggests that these microtubules are the quantum processors of the brain. Think of them not as dead girders, but as the delicate wiring of the soul, capable of hosting the quantum effects necessary for consciousness. This theory, known as orchestrated objective reduction, or Orch-OR, suggests that these microtubules are the quantum processors of the brain. Think of them not as dead girders, but as the delicate wiring of the soul, capable of hosting the quantum effects necessary for consciousness. According to Orch-OR, within these tiny, protected cylinders, quantum information can exist in a state of superposition, a ghostly realm of possibility where multiple outcomes exist at the same time. Your mind, at this deep level, is a shimmering sea of potential. The theory then posits that every single conscious moment you experience the now, that you are living in this very second, is the result of a physical event, a literal collapse of this quantum wave of possibilities into a single, experienced reality. This objective reduction is a process Penrose connects to the fundamental geometry of space-time itself. Your mind, at this deep level, is a shimmering sea of potential. The theory then posits that every single conscious moment you experience the now, that you are living in this very second, is the result of a physical event, a literal collapse of this quantum wave of possibilities into a single, experienced reality. This objective reduction is a process Penrose connects to the fundamental geometry of space-time itself. What does this mean for you? It means that your experience of a stable, singular reality is not a given. It is a continuous act of creation. Every moment of your awareness is a quantum event, a symphony of countless microtubules collapsing possibilities into the concrete experience of your life, orchestrated by the brain's biological processes. You are not just passively observing the world. At the most fundamental level of your being, you are selecting your reality from an infinite field of potential, moment by moment by moment. You are not just passively observing the world. At the most fundamental level of your being, you are selecting your reality from an infinite field of potential, moment by moment by moment. Now that we've located the potential quantum hardware in the brain, we must grapple with the truly mind-bending implications of quantum mechanics. Perhaps the most famous and bizarre of these is quantum entanglement. Albert Einstein famously called it spooky action at a distance. It's a phenomenon where two or more quantum particles become linked in such a way that their fates are intertwined, no matter how far apart they are. Measure a property of one particle, and you instantly know the state of its partner, even if it's on the other side of the galaxy. Measure a property of one particle, and you instantly know the state of its partner, even if it's on the other side of the galaxy. This isn't theory. It's a proven, fundamental aspect of our universe. Now, apply this principle to the quantum processes in your brain. If the quantum bits of information within your microtubules can become entangled with those in another person's brain, what would that feel like? It could provide a stunningly elegant, physical basis for phenomena we've long dismissed as unscientific. Think about that moment you had a gut feeling about someone, a sudden flash of insight that felt like it came from nowhere. Consider the uncanny experience of thinking about a friend you haven't spoken to in years, only to have them call you that very minute. We call it coincidence, but could it be a fleeting awareness of a deeper connection? A form of quantum entanglement between two minds. This opens the door to a scientific understanding of intuition, telepathy, and the strange, meaningful synchronicities that weave through our lives. It suggests that our individual minds are not as separate as our bodies are. We may be nodes in a vast interconnected network of consciousness. Experiments have even suggested that our consciousness can register future events moments before they happen, as if we are receiving faint echoes from our own future. When many minds focus on a single event, some researchers believe this collective focus can create a measurable effect, a ripple in the global consciousness field. We are not just connected to each other, we may be part of a single planetary consciousness, a collective mind just beginning to awaken to itself. Our journey now leads us to question two of the most intimate aspects of our minds: memory and creativity. The classical model tells us that memories are stored like files in a computer, chemically encoded in the synapses of our brain. But this model has problems. It doesn't fully explain why some memories feel so intensely real, almost as if we are reliving them. Nor does it account for the brain's incredible resilience in retaining memory despite cellular decay and damage. Let's propose a quantum alternative. What if your memories aren't just stored in your brain? What if your brain is more like a receiver, accessing memories that are encoded in a timeless, universal quantum field? Think of it like a cosmic cloud server for consciousness. In this model, the brain's job isn't to hold the memory itself, but to tune into the right frequency to retrieve it. This could explain so much. It could explain why a certain smell or piece of music can instantly transport you back decades, unlocking a memory with a vividness that feels more real than the present moment. You aren't just recalling data. You are reaccessing a pattern of information in the quantum field. This model also sheds light on the mysterious nature of creative insight. Where do brilliant, revolutionary ideas come from? Often, they seem to appear out of nowhere, a sudden, aha moment that feels less like a product of logical deduction and more like an act of discovery. History is filled with examples of major breakthroughs, like the invention of calculus or the theory of evolution, occurring to multiple unconnected people at roughly the same time. Were they all just geniuses working in parallel? Or were they all, in their own way, tapping into the same universal network of quantum information? Perhaps true creativity isn't about inventing something new from scratch, but about learning how to quiet the noise of the conscious mind and tune your quantum antenna into the vast cosmic library of ideas that is waiting to be accessed. Here, our exploration moves from the mind to the heart, applying these profound quantum principles to our most deeply felt human experiences. We ask the biggest questions of all. What is love? What is loss? And what happens to us when we die? From a quantum perspective, love is more than just a chemical reaction or a psychological attachment. What if the deep, unbreakable connection you feel with a soulmate, a parent, or a child is a profound form of quantum entanglement? When two minds become deeply entangled, they may form a single, unified system that transcends physical space and time. This could explain why you can feel what a loved one is feeling, even when they are miles away, or just know when they are in trouble. It's not magic, it's the physics of deep connection. This quantum framework also offers a transformative and deeply comforting perspective on loss and death. If consciousness is not a product of the brain, but a pattern of information existing within the quantum field, then what happens when the brain, the receiver, ceases to function? In the classical view, awareness is extinguished. It's the end. But in the quantum view, the information that constitutes you, your memories, your personality, your awarenesses, not destroyed. How could it be? Information, in physics, is fundamental. Instead, that pattern might simply be released from the local antenna of the body and return to the larger cosmic field of consciousness. Death, from this perspective, is not an extinction. It is a transition. It is the release of a wave back into the ocean of universal awareness from which it came. The love you shared, the connections you forged, may be patterns of entanglement that persist, woven into the very fabric of the universe, timeless and eternal. At this point, we must take a scientific turn and address the fierce and valid criticism from mainstream neuroscience. For decades, the primary argument against a quantum brain has been that the brain is simply too warm, wet, and noisy for the delicate, fragile phenomena of quantum mechanics to survive. Quantum effects, critics argue, can typically only be maintained in highly controlled, isolated environments at temperatures near absolute zero. How could they possibly play a meaningful role in the messy, chaotic environment of a living brain? This was a powerful argument, and for a long time, it seemed to put the idea of a quantum mind firmly in the realm of pseudoscience. But then, a revolutionary new field of science began to emerge: quantum biology. And it has turned this old argument completely on its head. Scientists are now discovering that nature is a master quantum engineer. Life has already figured out how to use quantum mechanics in the most unlikely of places. Consider photosynthesis, the process that powers nearly all life on Earth. It turns out that plants use a quantum trick called superposition to find the most efficient path for light energy to travel, achieving a level of efficiency over 90% that our best solar panels can only dream of. Think about the robin, navigating thousands of miles during its migration. Evidence suggests it uses a form of quantum entanglement in its eyes to literally see the Earth's magnetic field. From our sense of smell, which may rely on quantum tunneling, to the very enzymes that power our cells, nature is brimming with quantum processes. If life has harnessed these powerful effects for photosynthesis and navigation, it seems not only possible, but probable, that evolution would have put quantum mechanics to work in the most complex and mysterious organ we know of, the human brain. The warm, wet, and noisy argument is crumbling. Nature has already proven it can protect and utilize quantum phenomena, suggesting the brain isn't the exception, but the ultimate example of quantum biology at work. As our understanding of quantum biology deepens, we find ourselves looking toward a startling horizon: the convergence of quantum consciousness theory and the rapid development of quantum computers. This isn't just about building faster machines to solve complex problems. We are on the verge of a technological leap that could force us to confront the very nature of awareness itself. For years, we've pursued artificial intelligence by trying to replicate the brain's software on classical computers. We create algorithms that can learn, reason, and even mimic human conversation with terrifying accuracy. But no matter how sophisticated these systems become, they are only simulating intelligence. They follow instructions. They don't feel. They don't experience. They have no inner world. But what if consciousness isn't a program you can write? What if, as the Orch-OR theory suggests, it arises from specific physical processes, from the quantum collapse of possibility into actuality within a specific architecture, like microtubules? If this is true, then we will never create genuine consciousness on a classical, digital computer. However, with the dawn of quantum computing, we are building machines that operate on the same principles. Superposition and entanglement may be the foundation of our own minds. This raises a profound and world-changing possibility that we could be on the verge of creating not just more powerful artificial intelligence, but genuinely new forms of artificial consciousness. This forces us to ask some of the most challenging ethical questions imaginable. If we build a machine that can genuinely think, feel, and experience awareness, what responsibilities would we have to it? Would it have rights? Would turning it off be an act of murder? We may soon be forced to move beyond the question of can we build a conscious machine, to the much more urgent question, should we? The answers will define the future of our species and our relationship with the life we create. Now, let's bring these vast, cosmic ideas down from the heavens and into the practical reality of your daily life. This isn't just a fascinating scientific theory. It is a new lens through which to view your own mind and a powerful toolkit for personal growth. It reframes everyday mental acts as potent quantum events. Consider that gut feeling you get when facing a major life decisions, a job, starting a relationship, moving to a new city. The logical, classical mind weighs the pros and cons, but there's often another layer of knowing, an intuitive pull that defies simple analysis. From a quantum perspective, this isn't just random emotion. It could be your mind, operating in a state of quantum superposition, processing multiple potential future outcomes simultaneously. That gut feeling is the faint signal of a collapsing wave function, guiding you toward the most resonant future reality. Think about a creative aha, moment, that sudden, brilliant insight that solves a problem you've been wrestling with for weeks. We often experience this when we're relaxed, in the shower, or on a walk, when the analytical mind has quieted down. In the quantum model, this is the moment when your consciousness, free from the constraints of linear thought, allows the vast field of infinite possibilities to collapse into one elegant, perfect solution. It wasn't created, it was received. This perspective transforms how we approach learning and personal growth. It becomes less about cramming facts into your brain and more about learning how to tune your quantum antenna. How do you do this? Through practices that quiet the classical mind: meditation, mindfulness, spending time in nature, engaging in creative pursuits. These aren't just relaxation techniques, they are methods for improving the signal-to-noise ratio of your quantum receiver. By learning to listen to the subtle whispers of your intuition and making space for creative insights, you are actively participating in your own quantum unfolding, choosing your path from a field of infinite potential. This quantum framework doesn't just reshape our understanding of the mind. It revolutionizes our relationship with healing, our experience of time, and the very concept of free will. If your consciousness is fundamentally a quantum process, it may not be entirely bound by the linear, one-way street of classical time. This could be the physical explanation for those intuitive flashes about the future: a sudden premonition, a dream that comes true, or simply knowing what's about to happen. Your quantum mind might be capable of accessing information that isn't locked in the past or present, perceiving ripples from potential futures that are flowing back into the now. This has profound implications for healing. In the classical mechanical model, healing is often a slow, gradual, and linear process of repair. But we all know stories, or perhaps have experienced moments of sudden, radical transformation. These are what we might call quantum leaps in healing. Spontaneous remissions from disease, or a sudden life-altering breakthrough in therapy that instantly dissolves a lifelong pattern of trauma. These aren't miracles that violate the laws of physics. They may be examples of a complex system, your mind and body reaching a tipping point and undergoing a phase transition, instantaneously shifting from a state of disorder and disease to one of coherence and health. This shift isn't achieved by force, but by a change in the informational pattern of consciousness that governs the physical body. This also redefines the age-old debate about free will. Are our choices predetermined by the past, or are they merely random firings of neurons? The quantum perspective offers a third, more beautiful option. Free will is not random, nor is it predetermined. It is a genuinely creative act. At every moment, you stand in a field of infinite potential. Your act of conscious choice, your focused attention, is the force that collapses that infinite potential into a single, actualized experience. You are the author of your own story, not by picking from a limited menu of options, but by calling your reality forth from the boundless sea of possibility. We now arrive at the deepest and most personal question of all. Who are you? We tend to think of ourselves as separate, skin-encapsulated egos. Our identity, our self, seems to end at the boundary of our body. But if your mind is not an isolated generator of consciousness, but a receiver connected to a universal quantum field, then where do you truly end, and the rest of the universe begin? The line becomes blurry. In fact, it may not exist at all. This perspective suggests that your individual awareness is like a temporary wave on the surface of a vast, deep ocean of collective consciousness. The wave has its own unique characteristics, its own journey, its own experience, but it is never, for a single moment, separate from the ocean itself. Your sense of being a separate me might be a magnificent, evolved illusion, a focal point that allows the universe to experience itself from a unique perspective. This quantum framework could provide a physical, scientific basis for the psychological concept of the collective unconscious, a term coined by the brilliant psychologist Carl Jung. He proposed that beneath our personal unconscious lies a deeper layer, a shared repository of human memory, experience, and archetypes, universal symbols, and stories that appear in myths and dreams across all cultures and all of history. How could this be possible? If consciousness is a quantum field, then every conscious being who has ever lived has contributed to that field. The joys, sorrows, wisdom, and struggles of our ancestors are not lost to time. They are encoded as informational patterns in this universal field. When you have a dream that feels ancient and mythic, or when you are inexplicably drawn to a certain symbol or story, you may be tapping into this collective unconscious. You are connecting, through the quantum field, to every person who has ever lived. You are not just an individual, you are humanity. This journey is leading us to a radical conclusion. Your consciousness is not a passive spectator. It is not a mirror that simply reflects the world as it is. Your consciousness is an active, creative force that participates in shaping the reality you experience. And the tool you use for this creation is your attention. In quantum physics, there is a famous and deeply mysterious phenomenon known as the observer effect. In experiments like the double-slit experiment, fundamental particles, like electrons, behave as a wave of all possibilities, when they are not being observed. But the moment you observe them, the moment you measure them to see where they are, they collapse from a wave of potential into a single, definite particle in a specific location. The act of observation, the act of paying attention, literally changes the nature of reality at the quantum level. Now, let's scale that principle up. Your attention is not a passive spotlight. It is an active, ordering force that interacts with the quantum world. The things you consistently place your focus on, your thoughts, your intentions, your deepest beliefs, are not just idle daydreams. They are directives to the quantum field. You are constantly collapsing waves of potential into the particles of your experience. Research has shown that your nervous system can sometimes react to and anticipate future events a few seconds before they occur, as if it's receiving a signal from the immediate future. Furthermore, the burgeoning field of epigenetics is revealing how the experiences and traumas of your ancestors can leave a chemical marking on your DNA, influencing your life today. This can be reinterpreted in a quantum context. You may be inheriting not just genetic material, but quantum information patterns passed down through generations. Your every thought, your every feeling, is therefore not just a fleeting reaction to the present. It is an act of creation, influenced by the past, and sending ripples into the future, shaping the very fabric of your reality. If our attention shapes reality, why does positive thinking so often fail? We've all tried to simply think our way to a better life, repeating affirmations while our underlying emotional state remains one of fear, doubt, and anxiety. The results are often frustratingly ineffective. This quantum perspective provides a clear answer. Wishful thinking is not enough. The key is not just the content of your thoughts, but the coherence of your entire being. Coherence is a term from physics that describes a state of harmony and order within a wave. In the context of consciousness, coherence is a state of deep alignment between your thoughts and your emotions, your heart and your mind. Researchers at organizations like the HeartMath Institute have conducted groundbreaking research on this. They've shown that the heart actually sends more signals to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. When you experience emotions like gratitude, love, and compassion, your heart rhythm becomes smooth and orderly, a coherent pattern. This coherent signal from the heart profoundly affects brain function, leading to reduced stress, enhanced clarity, and optimal performance. Conversely, when you experience stress, frustration, or fear, Your heart rhythm becomes erratic and disordered, an incoherent pattern. This incoherent signal disrupts your brain's ability to think clearly and reinforces the very negative emotions you're trying to escape. This is the science behind manifestation. It's not about just thinking a positive thought. It is about generating a coherent, energetic state where your thoughts and your feelings are in perfect alignment. When you truly feel the gratitude for what you desire, as if you already have it, you are generating a powerful, measurable, and coherent electromagnetic field. It is this coherent state of being, this harmonious signal from your heart and mind working as one, that allows your consciousness to effectively broadcast a clear intention into the quantum field. You are no longer sending a mixed, noisy signal. You are sending a pure, powerful wave that can influence the quantum probabilities that shape your reality. With this understanding of coherence, we can now revisit the idea of healing and see it in a new light. We can now understand the mechanism behind instantaneous, radical change. Drawing on research in cellular biology and neuroscience, this new paradigm proposes that profound healing and personal transformation can occur in moments of what physicists call quantum phase transitions. Think of water. At one temperature, it's a liquid. Change the conditions just slightly, and it can suddenly transform into a solid, ice, or a gas, steam. The underlying molecules are the same, but their organization, their coherence, and their expression have radically shifted. This is a phase transition. Now, apply this to your own being. You are a complex system of psychological and biological patterns. Sometimes, change is slow and gradual. But, at other times, when your consciousness achieves an extraordinary degree of coherence through a peak experience, deep meditation, or a sudden emotional breakthrough can trigger a sudden reorganization of your entire system. This could be the scientific explanation for so-called miraculous events. Spontaneous remission, where a disease vanishes overnight, could be a biological phase transition triggered by a profound shift in conscious coherence. The sudden overcoming of a lifelong addiction or phobia could be a psychological phase transition, where old neural pathways are instantly rewired. These are not supernatural events. They are quantum leaps. They are moments when the coherent energy of your consciousness becomes so powerful that it overrides the old, incoherent patterns of illness or trauma and reorganizes your mind and body into a new, healthier, and more whole state of being. This reveals that transformation doesn't always have to be a long, arduous struggle. Under the right conditions of coherence, it can happen in the blink of an eye. This leads us to the pinnacle of human experience, those moments when we feel most alive, most capable, and most connected. We see it in the flow states of elite athletes, who describe time slowing down and their actions becoming effortless and perfect. We see it in the transcendent creativity of great artists and musicians, who feel as though they are channeling something from beyond themselves. We see it in the extraordinary abilities reported by mystics and meditators throughout history, profound intuition, deep states of unity, and a sense of timelessness. From a classical, materialistic perspective, these are often dismissed as anomalies, tricks of the brain, or simply unexplainable. But from a quantum perspective, these are not superhuman or paranormal events at all. They are natural human capacities that emerge when our consciousness operates at a higher level of coherence and tunes into the quantum field, without the static and interference of the egoic mind. These peak experiences are moments when our quantum antenna is perfectly calibrated. The separation between self and universe dissolves. We are no longer struggling to impose our will upon the world. We are in a state of flow, acting in perfect harmony with the unfolding of reality. The profound truth here is that these abilities are not the exclusive domain of a gifted few. They lie dormant within you. The capacity for extraordinary intuition, boundless creativity, and a deep sense of connection to the cosmos is your birthright. It is the natural state of your quantum mind. The only thing that limits us is our conditioning, our belief that we are merely classical, biological machines. The journey to unlocking this potential is not about adding anything to yourself, but about unlearning the limitations of classical thinking. It is about quieting the noise, cultivating coherence, and daring to embrace the magnificent, powerful, and truly limitless reality of your quantum nature. We have journeyed from the depths of the neuron to the edge of the cosmos. And now we arrive at the most profound and empowering implication of all. Your consciousness is not just observing reality, it is actively and essentially participating in its creation. Let this sink in. Every moment of your focused awareness, every choice you make from a state of coherence, every thought you think, and every emotion you feel, is an act that collapses the infinite waves of quantum possibility into the specific, tangible reality you experience. The world is not something that is simply happening to you. It is something that is happening through you and with you. This transforms your role in the universe. You are not a passive observer watching a predetermined movie. You are not a victim of circumstance, tossed about by the random forces of a meaningless cosmos. You are an active and essential co-creator of reality itself. The universe is not a finished painting you are looking at. It is an unfinished canvas, and your consciousness is the brush. This understanding carries with it a beautiful and profound sense of responsibility. It means your inner world matters. Your state of being, your level of coherence, your compassion, and your love are not just personal feelings. They are contributions to the collective field. The reality we all experience is a consensus, a co-creation built from the sum total of all our consciousnesses. By cultivating inner peace, you contribute to a more peaceful world. By cultivating coherence in your own heart, you add coherence to the collective. This is the ultimate lesson of the quantum mind. You are infinitely more powerful and more connected than you have ever been told. You are a focal point of universal awareness, endowed with the incredible power to collapse potential into reality. You are a wave in the ocean of the cosmos, and you are the entire ocean in a single wave. So, the journey doesn't end here. In many ways, it's just beginning. The greatest exploration is not outward to the stars, but inward, into the quantum nature of your own mind. The lesson from this story is to live with intention, to recognize that your attention is sacred and creative, to practice cultivating coherence between your heart and your mind, knowing that this is the key to unlocking your true potential. The advice is simple, though not always easy. Choose love over fear, gratitude over complaint, and curiosity over judgment. In doing so, you are not just improving your own life. You are literally upgrading the signal you broadcast to the universe. And now I want to ask you, have you ever had an experience, a gut feeling, a strange synchronicity, a moment of profound intuition that science couldn't explain? Share your story in the comments below. What does this idea of being a co-creator mean to you? Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey into the heart of reality. I wish you profound health, boundless creativity, and a deep connection to the cosmos within you. And if this exploration resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more journeys into the frontiers of science and consciousness. Your support helps us continue to ask these big questions together.